We're very pleased to be joined by Ann Romney this morning. Good morning, Mrs. Romney. Good to have you with us.
Thanks, Martha.
You know, I'm just curious on a personal level, because I know, how it can feel when these kinds of things are said. What was your personal gut reaction when you heard her say those words?
She should have come to my house when those 5 boys were causing so much trouble. It wasn't so easy.
No, indeed, I'm sure it wasn't. And we've had a ton of people tweeting the show this morning when they heard that you were on, basically telling similar stories. And anybody, I guess, who's a mom knows what it's like to actually have to do all of that hard work at home. But, I'm curious, your son Josh also tweeted about this. And he said, my mom could have done anything she wanted in her life, and she chose to stay home and raise me. And I thought that was, very interesting and very kind, of course, coming from him this morning. But you did have a lot of choices. And why did you make the decision that you did at that point in your life?
This is what's so interesting about this. My career choice was to be a mother. And I think all of us need to know that we need to respect choices that women make. Other women make other choices to have a career and raise family, which I think Hillary Rosen has actually done herself. I respect that. That's wonderful. But, there are other people that have a choice. We have to respect women in all those choices that they make. And, by the way, let me give a shout-out to all the dads that are at home raising kids. This is obviously an awesome responsibility to raise children. It's, to me, the most important thing we can do. I will tell you that Mitt said to me more times than you would imagine, and your job is more important than mine. He was making money and doing the things, raising funds and investing and helping other companies, and would come home and say, Ann, your job is more important than mine. He would say, my job is temporary. I know that these things come and go, but your job is a forever job that's going to bring forever happess. So, he had perspective on this. And by the way, Mitt respects women that make those different choices. He had a lot of women in his life that have been his advisors, that he listens to a lot of different women. And if I get a chance, I want to tell you what women are telling me. And Hillary needs to know this, because I've been on the campaign trail for 1 year. And guess what women are talking about? And I don't care if they're stay-at-home moms or they're working mothers or they're grandmothers. Guess what they're all talking about? They're talking about jobs, and they're talking about the legacy of debt that we're leaving our children. That's what I'm hearing, and that's what we're talking about here.
Let's take a look at what she said this morning, because she went back on television to respond to this, because she's getting a lot of heat, as you might imagine. And here's what she said this morning. Let's watch.
This is not about Ann Romney. This is about the waitress in a diner in, someplace in Nevada who has 2 kids whose daycare funding is being cut off because of the Romney-Ryan budget, and she doesn't know what to do. This isn't about whether Ann Romney or I or other women of, some means can afford to make a choice to stay home and raise kids. Most women in America, let's face it, don't have that choice.
This goes back to the sort of rich argument that has been leveled so much against you and your husband. Basically, she's saying, well, Ann Romney could have chosen to do anything she wanted, and Ann Romney can't relate to women who have no choice, who have to work and also raise their families.
Look, I know what it's like to struggle. And if maybe I haven't struggled as much financially as some people have, I can tell you and promise you that I've had struggles in my life. And I would love to have people understand that Mitt and I have compassion for people that are struggling, and that's why we're running. We care about those people that are struggling, and we also recognize that this economic recovery has been very weak. We also recognize that the debt burdens that we're facing in this country are huge and are going to be a huge problem for our children. That's what I'm hearing when I go out there, is that women are talking about economic issues. And they're talking about the security of their own jobs, the security of their husband's jobs. They're worried that maybe some of them come to me and say, my son is living back with me. He's a graduate from college, and he's back in the house. These are the things I'm hearing about, and we are recognizing that there's been a very tepid recovery, and people are worried about their jobs, their job security, and beyond that, I hear so much about how worried they are about the legacy of debt we're going to leave our children.
I want to play one more soundbite from Hillary Rosen that I think is somewhat telling. Let's listen to this from last night.
He seems so old-fashioned when it comes to women, and I think that comes across, and I think that that's going to hurt him over the long term. He just doesn't really see us as equal.
Does your husband not see women as equals?
Now that does bother me. That is not correct at all. You should see how many women he listens to, and that's what I love about Mitt. He has so many women in his circle, that his chief of staff when he was governor, you know, in business, so many women surround him that he respects and admires. His lieutenant governor when he was governor, Carrie Healy, he respects enormously, respects her intellect, and is a complete misperception. And I do think that is something that she needs to recognize, that is not Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is a person that admires women and listens to them, and I am grateful that he listens to me and listens to what I am telling him as well, what women are facing right now, and he's listening and he cares.
You know, one of the things that strikes me about when I look at you and the choices that you have made is that you also have chosen to support your husband in his work. You know, as First Lady of Massachusetts, and you've also been involved in a lot of volunteer organizations helping children, which, you know, a lot of women who are able to do that do across this country, and I think that they can, you know, surely relate to that. You want right now to become the First Lady of the United States, and I'm guessing that you have plans and thoughts about how you would use that position if you are fortunate enough to achieve that as well. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I will tell you that because of the struggles I've had in my own life with breast cancer and with multiple sclerosis, that those will be first and foremost in my thoughts, is to be compassionate for those that are suffering, and also to help try to find a cure for MS and for breast cancer. But beyond that, you're right, I have worked with at-risk youth, and I want to be able to make sure that kids make choices in their life that will bring them their most fulfillment and their most happiness. And so for me, I'm sure you could not keep me from working with kids again and with at-risk youth.
You know, it's interesting when you look at the polls, and I spoke with your husband about this yesterday. He is not doing well with women voters, at least at this moment in the campaign. Why do you think that is? I mean, what do you think is the White House and the administration and President Obama are doing to convince women in this country that they care about them more than he does?
It's just too early, Martha. People haven't had a chance to listen to us or hear us, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to be able to let women know that this is a very important election. This is a watershed election for their futures and for the future of their children, and it's so important that we get someone in there that understands the economy, that understands job creation, that understands this legacy of debt that we're leaving that is going to strangle our kids if we don't take care of it. And so Mitt is a guy, he's a can-do guy that has been able to turn things around in his life. This country needs to turn around. We need someone like Mitt to come in and clean this up and get America going in the right direction and have a bright future for all of our children.
From what he said, that's just the kind of talk that got him into this race. He said you were one of the driving forces behind doing just that. So, Ann Romney, we thank you very much for being with us. We look forward to talking to you again. Thank you, Mrs. Romney.
Thanks, Martha.